Promising new breakthroughs in the fight against cancer, from leukemia to one of the deadliest diagnoses of all, pancreatic cancer. Now, first, this potential game changer in blood cancer research. Scientists at Australia's Monash University, working with Harvard, saying they've discovered a way to permanently switch off genes that help certain aggressive leukemias survive. So instead of rewriting DNA, the approach targets epigenetic proteins, essentially erasing cancer's memory that keeps dangerous growth programs turned on. It is raising hopes for shorter therapies with fewer harsh side effects. A clinical trial in Australia is expected later this year. And then tonight, another major development, this time in pancreatic cancer. Researchers in Spain have developed a triple therapy that has completely eliminated pancreatic tumors in mice. Now, pancreatic cancer is notoriously resistant to treatment. It is often diagnosed late at stage 4. Although scientists say human trials are still a long way off, the findings could open the door to dramatically improving survival. Let's bring in Dr. Anahita Dua, founder and chair of Healthcare for Action, as well as vascular surgeon and associate professor of surgery at Harvard Medical School. Dr. Dua, great to see you again. Let's start with the development in pancreatic cancer. It can be so devastating. It is so notoriously difficult to treat. It's often caught late. What does this new research say?
This new research says that there's hope, which is wonderful. Basically, as you said, this triple therapy approach is a new way of saying that the drugs that we currently have may be able to work better in these patients. Unfortunately, as you pointed out, a significant proportion of patients are caught very late with pancreatic cancer. And in 5 years after a diagnosis of pancreatic cancer, 90% of people are dead. So it's a big deal to get this breakthrough. And what it really says is with the right team across the globe, we will be able to crack this disease.
Interesting. So it's not that any of these medications or treatments are novel or new, but it's simply combining 3 existing treatments or medications we already had. Is that correct?
There is one aspect of it, one of the triple therapy aspects that is experimental, and that's the thing that we're really going to have to check. But it's not surprising at all that 3 things that we already know are available are being used in combination. There's a lot of research that's done that way, and that's why the human trials are a little ways away, because the next step in this process is figuring out what the toxicity levels would be, the interactions would be between these 3 drugs, because as you pointed out, thus far, it's only been done in mice.
Absolutely, and there's that huge leap between animal models and human beings, but how encouraging is it that it completely ameliorated those pancreatic cancer tumors in mice so far?
Oh, it's wonderful, because not only the destruction, but also there was no further seeing of tumors in these mice over 200 days. And mice age much faster than humans, so 200 days for a mouse is a lot of years for a human. So it really is showing that there's some promise here, and it's something that we really do need to follow up on, as we've seen with the world kind of coming together to fund this research to the next level.
Yeah, what potential timeline could we see here if those checkpoints are passed successfully in the next steps?
Well, the beauty of science is that if you have enough patients and you have enough funding, you are able to go to the next step pretty quickly. The first step will be, of course, scientifically validating that this is true in other labs. Thus far, it's only been done in 1 location, so we want to make sure that it's true across the board. We also want to make sure that it's true in multiple mouse models. He used 3 of them. We need to make sure that it's in other ones as well. Then we move forward with some of the feasibility and then ultimately into human trials. So I would say somewhere between 5 to 10 years.
Understood. Meanwhile, the leukemia research that's promising is a little further along. This is out of Australia and Harvard. Walk us through this potential breakthrough.
Well, this is for multiple myeloma. And again, we're seeing something that's going to be completely different. I think the real key here is that in this patient population, when nothing else is working for multiple myeloma, this is the next step that we go through where we try this drug, which does already exist. And there are patients already that are on this medication that have seen wonderful results, namely seeing regression of the disease and ultimately, most importantly, survival. Multiple myeloma hits people around the age of 70. So if you can allow people to live 15 to 20 years with this therapy, technically you've cured the disease.
Yeah, walk us through how erasing a cancer cell's memory could change the way we approach long-term remission.
Well, cancer cells are your own body cells that have basically gone crazy. They've forgotten what they were meant to do, and they start to replicate and replicate uncontrollably, and ultimately they can cause death. So when you take it back to the base, when you say we're going to erase what the cancer cell is currently thinking and take it back to what it was originally, you can, in theory, eradicate the cancer completely. And that's really what's going on here in this type of therapy.
Yeah. Tell me, broad picture, broad strokes. I think, a lot of people shaken, for example, by James Van Der Beek's passing of colorectal cancer. We were just discussing this last weekend. People are very concerned about the rising rates of colorectal cancer in young adults and people under 50 in this country. From a bird's eye view, from what you're watching when it comes to cancer in the world and cancer in this country, are you hopeful about how we're trending for the future?
I'm very hopeful in terms of the scientists that are using this type of therapy to push forward. And I'm very hopeful about the fact that everybody wants to come together to solve this, as cancer is one of the #1 killers of humans. But it is very important in this time when we're seeing all these hopeful things to understand that in order for them to come to fruition, they must be supported, they must be funded, and they must be apolitical. So as we're seeing these wonderful breakthroughs, it's another 10 years before we actually see the therapy, and we as a population across the globe have to support these scientists and ensure that they're able to do what they're trying to do, which is cure cancer.
I hear that. Dr. Anahita Dua, thank you so much, as always.
Thank you.